Thanks for joining me now to our first story. School children and people living around Ashaiman Presby School are battling the effects of hazardous smoke emanating from a refuse dump being burnt close by. Now, a number of the pupils who spoke to Joy News said some of their mates suffering from asthma are rushed to the hospital daily due to the smoke. Now, they also said classes are sometimes held under trees away from the school just to escape the smoke, and this may sometimes be extended beyond closing hours because of poor visibility and difficulty to breathe because the atmosphere is engulfed in smoke. Joy News' Mapito Sabidi visited the garbage site and the school and reports that apart from the health implications, the refuse is being burned under high electricity tension poles, making it more dangerous to passers and residents.
Burning of refuse at the site started at the beginning of this year.
Ashaiman Presby Basic School, and I'm here with Priscilla and Surprise, students who are being affected by the smoke behind me. So I wanted to ask them what they think about the situation and how is it affecting you?
It's affecting us in our lessons because sometimes when the smoke comes, our teachers can't stand it, and we can also not stand it. It leads to poor visibility, and our friends who are suffering from asthma, they have to be taken to the hospital, and it delays our lessons. Sometimes we are supposed to, our normal closure time is 3 o'clock, but since the smoke has been disturbing us, we need to close sometimes 2, sometimes 1:30, and it's affecting our lessons. So we are pleading that the government should help us. We are also students. It's within school that president comes out of, that lawyer comes out of, journalists, teachers. So we are pleading with the government that he should help us. We need his help.
Since the smoke, they started burning the rubbish. Whenever the smoke comes out, we have to go home to avoid lung cancer diseases. The teachers too can't stand it, so they ask us to leave early. Whilst we have to learn many subjects, we are even behind our syllabus. So we are pleading with the government to help us solve this situation.
I have one asthmatic child in Form 1A. So the other time when the smoke was being severe, he fainted. And then when he was taken to the hospital, there were sinks of smoke in his lungs. Now, you know, smokers are those who are suffering from that problem. And then the doctor was curious that, okay, is the child smoking at this age? And then, see, it is from the smoke. When it enters the body, it's really it is cleaners inside. Smoke is not good for the body. And then the chemicals that are used with the rubbers and other things, when they are burnt, it evaporates in the air. So when it enters into our body, we have lung cancer and other things. Okay, so it is really affecting us, and we are dying. The government should not wait for us to die before he will come and do something about it. They have to work on it before something happens.
Sometimes the pupils desert their classrooms due to the intensity of smoke and seek shelter under trees to learn. One of the teachers who spoke to us expressed his frustration about the silence of the assembly on this issue.
What's happening here is so pathetic. You see, these children, as we see, are the future of Ghana. And this is, I may say, when it comes to taking of poison, we say taking of the intake of poison is very bad. The moment you take poison, you die. And this is also poison. Taking poison in a gas, in the form of a gas. So I think the government have to come in. And this issue have been here for the past 4 years, but now the intensity of it is becoming too much. So we want to plead the government that these children have the right to education, and on the education we have to provide them with a good environment for studies. And this is affecting the school. Performance of the school is falling each and every year, and I even fear for this very year. Our Form 3s, I fear for them. So we'll plead the government that the necessary action that authorities will take to help get this issue out, they should attend to it immediately.
Some parents have threatened to take their wards away from the school if those manning the site don't stop burning the garbage in the area.
This thing started happening almost about 5 years now. This year is the worst. We wrote to Assembly to come to our aid, but still we haven't heard any report from them yet. And what I'm worried about is parents' concern. Parents have been calling me day in and day out that if nothing is being done about this one, this very year, if nothing is being done, they'll come and take their children from the school.
We can't do anything in the area. There's smoke. You can't sleep. You can't even eat. You can't do anything. So I don't know. We have appealed to the Ashaiman to do something about it. But up till now, they are not doing anything. The kids are suffering. There's just a school close to the area. The kids have to close early and go home because of this smoke. And the flies, the smell, the mosquitoes, in fact, is causing a whole problem for us. So please, if you can do something about it for us, if you can appeal to people to come to our aid, because we are dying slowly.
The school isn't the only facility affected by the smoke from the waste burning site. Traders and buyers of the new market down the road at the Ajay-Kojo junction have had to inhale the smoke throughout the period of plying their trade there. The traders at the market say this is gradually affecting sales because customers are afraid of the health implications of the smoke.
When the bala is there, the flies will go on and they will come to the market, and we are selling food items. So the flies over there can give us a lot of disease. So my suggestion is that the bala, even our children are there, the school is behind them over there, and the smoke too is disturbing the children over there. They will not have peace to learn. So I'm decided if it will be possible, that bala must be removed there to any place where it is very suitable to the town.
People moving up and down the stretch are equally worried, including private and commercial drivers.
The bala is killing us. Just if you see that our children for the school inside too, it's not fine. We talk about still now, they haven't do anything about it.
See the children, the school children, always about getting to 2 months with this. I don't know the authorities. They are in there. I don't know. See about this thing, the Bora. Always we are passing here. There is a problem here. I don't know the authorities. They are disobedience. Why? I beg you. The authorities, they're for work.
It's too bad. The too much for the small days is too bad. So please, we beg you people, see to it, do something about it for we, especially the school children here. The school children here, especially, it's affecting them more. So please, we beg you.
Residents say they have complained to the municipal, but to no avail. Perhaps the most threatening aspect of what is happening here is that the refuse are burnt right under the high electricity tension poles.
This smoke is really affecting us. But I want to appeal to VRE or Greco that they should do something about this, because if you look at it, realize that it's affecting their cable, and we are even afraid of the health implication to us. So we appeal to them, and this thing, in fact, Ashaiman, I think the MP came around, we have the assemblyman too, and we have some of the executives from Ashaiman. They came, and up to now, I think last week, and up to now, we are not getting any result from them.
Residents are calling for immediate action before the matter gets out of hand.
Where there's smoke, there's ought to be fire. Smoke that is affecting children in the school before me, in the residential behind me, and in the market next to me. The smoke has been going on for 4 months and nothing has been happening. What is being done about this situation? I am Mapita Sividi reporting for Joy News.
Well, a really disturbing story there. I'm joined in the studio now by a public health specialist, Dr. Dennis Lai, to help understand the health and other implications of the situation and what can be done about it. Good morning to you, Dr. Lai. And I'm just wondering what's going through your mind as you were watching this particular story from the perspective of a health specialist.
I think it's pretty obvious that what we saw was not, even to the layperson, acceptable. I mean, just thinking about the air we breathe in and the fact that, it's so polluted. So I think that is problematic, just that. But there are also health implications with this amount of polluted air being inhaled by children, and I think that it's something we should all be concerned about.
All right, you've spoken about pollution, but you are the public health expert. Well, for me as a layperson, I may think about air pollution, but take us to the details. What kinds of other problems can we have associated with this?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that the air they are breathing in could have both gaseous or gases that are dangerous. And then also they could have particulate matter. So there could be particles in there, dust, even the ashes from the items that have burnt. And these are all potentially dangerous chemicals. Now, immediately, they are, anybody who breathes any of these gases in or polluted air in could have immediate effects. There could be medium-term effects, which could be up to a few weeks, and it could be long-term effects, which will be years down the line. The immediate ones are very easy to tell. So, for example, the person starts, feeling itchy throat, the eyes are tearing.
Like you mentioned, an asthmatic patient fainted.
Somebody with an asthma could also get an attack if the person already has asthma. So the person could get an attack precipitated by the dust. Beyond that, they could develop pneumonias as a result in the medium term. So that's one possible instance. And then they could also have what we call bronchitis, which is basically problems with the airway, the pipes in our lungs. So they could get inflamed, and that is also a medium-term problem. The long-term ones are more dangerous, and those ones we may not be able to even link them. We would have forgotten about this incident. So we have a lot of cancers. There's what we call the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which just means that these people have chronic breathing difficulties, so they struggle to breathe. A little exertion, they are breathless. And then also, I mentioned there are several types of cancers, because when these chemicals are inhaled, they get into the blood and they can spread to any part of the body. So these are really the health problems inhaling these kinds of gases.
But according to one of the residents, this has actually been going on for about 5 years, and we hear that particular location is a transfer point for refuse in the area. And considering that here in Ghana, we don't even separate our waste, I'm just imagining the kind of toxic these people are inhaling. But let's talk about Ghana as a country. What is the progress in terms of public safety? Because the rains are coming, and we know always we have issues with cholera outbreaks, yet we see this sitting right in front of our noses and we do nothing about it. And our reporter said for about, if I heard it right, for about some few weeks, the smoke has been, in the atmosphere for some time. What is our problem? Why aren't we getting this right? I know you're not the only public health specialist we have in our country. We have loads and loads of specialists, loads and loads of technocrats. What is the problem? Why aren't we getting it right?
Well, I think it's not just a public health issue. Of course, we are at the end of the spectrum. So once people fall ill, then it becomes a health issue. But there are several issues at play here. There's waste obviously being burnt at the site. So who is responsible for making sure that waste is disposed of properly? We have agencies such as the Environmental Protection Agency that is supposed to make sure that the air we breathe in is, for example, of a certain quality. I mean, people should not be allowed to pollute the environment. So it's a whole system issue, and we need to look at it critically. For me, where I sit now, the immediate thing is to look at the getting rid of that refuse dump at that point. It's very dangerous, and if it is true that this has been going on for 5 years or more, as one of the residents mentioned, then that is quite problematic, particularly for the children who've been in those schools, because they would have been constantly exposed to some very dangerous chemicals. And as you rightly mentioned, who knows what the constituents of the various refuse that has been done there. There could be, there could even be dangerous metals like mercury suspended in the air. There could be lead particles, lead materials that have been burnt, a lot of all these things. So I can't even begin to think of how huge a problem this is. And it's difficult for you to even think of why we are not doing anything to solve it.
Is it safe to say we are sitting on a time bomb? Is it possible that we could have a terrible outbreak, not to spell doom, but is it possible we could be seeing deaths even out of this?
As I said, most of the immediate things are not related to death. So for example, if somebody's eyes tearing, they get an immediate asthmatic attack, maybe. But most of the things are long term. And the problem with things that take a long time to show is that people are not able to relate the outcome to the cause. So with this, I mean, the children may be adults, maybe 20, 30, 40 years down the line. Some of them may develop certain disease conditions, which we may not directly link. You see, unlike cholera, which would happen immediately as though everybody starts acting, this is going to take quite some time. And it will be difficult for people to appreciate some of these things when the effect is not immediate. Yeah.
All right, let me pause you there because I have the MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, on the line, and we want some answers from him. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Fine morning, and fine morning to your cherished listeners.
All right, and viewers. I'm sure you know about this issue, and we heard from one of the residents that you were there about 2 weeks ago, and according to them, they gave you an ultimatum, and they said they wanted this solved in 2 weeks. 1 week has elapsed. What are you doing about it, sir?
Oh, thank you very much. I was there only last week, not 2 weeks ago.
Okay, last week. Thanks for the correction.
Yeah, I was there to, acquaint myself with the situation. Although I'm aware of the situation at hand, I had to go there and then have a first-hand information concerning exactly what the problem was, because this was not the case for, let's say, about 3 months or 4 months ago. This was not the case. So what was the cause of this particular situation?
All right, and so, Mr. Nogbe, so you're saying that this has not been the case for 5 years, because we hear the site has been there for about 5 years.
Yes, and I'm saying for the past, let's say 5 months ago, this was not the case.
When you say this was not the case, what do you mean? The burning or the dumping of refuse?
Yes, that is what I'm telling you.
Which of
the
them?
Dumping, the burning has never been the case.
Okay, but the place has been a dumping site.
A dumping site, not necessarily a dumping site, but let me say so, because Zoom Lion was there managing the place.
Okay.
They were the people who the assembly appointed to manage that particular place, the waste management. And then after the election and the subsequent declaration, a group of people hijacked the place and they sacked the Zoom Lion workers from the place.
Do we know who this group of people are, sir?
Well, I can't tell, but to my information, they are some of the people who are hijacking properties after the election, the invisible forces.
Okay.
That is the best of my knowledge.
Okay.
But I can't be sure of that anyway.
Okay.
So this group of people sacked the Zoom Lion workers from the place and they started managing the place. And you know, they are not experts, so they may not be able to do it as Zoom Lion would do it. That is why I was saying that 5 months ago it hasn't been so. The site has been there for a very long time, but you realize that this is the time everybody is crying for a particular situation because it has reached a crescendo. So now what we are doing is we have forwarded the concern to the regional minister, who is the acting municipal chief executive, because there's no municipal chief executive in place now. And he has also forwarded this to the local government. So as of yesterday, Zoom Lion was asked to bring an estimate so that they can evacuate the rubbish from there and then relocate the site. Because at the moment it is beyond the assembly, because it involves a huge sum of money, so the government will have to come to our aid. I have also spoken to the environmental minister, but I know that will not be his purview, but we are still working around the clock to get the sanitation minister to also get involved so that we can expedite action on this particular situation.
All right,
in fact, it's a damning situation, that I must say, because when it is around 12 o'clock, you realize that the basic schools there, they have to close because the direction of the wind will change, and then the smoke will just veer towards the students or the pupils, where they must be forced to close down the school for the whole day. It's a disaster in waiting, actually.
Okay, Mr. Nogbe, so how long are we willing to wait? And in the interim, like you're saying, it's highly expensive to deal with this, and so you're waiting for government support. So what is the plan in the interim to help these young people these students, these pupils who are affected by this?
I have directed that they should close down the place for now, because when you continue dumping the this thing, that is where you have to be burning it. We have directed that they should close the place down so that there will not be any further dumping of refuse there. And then we have to position a vehicle there so that if in any case that somebody wants to at least dump something, they will dump it into the car, and the car will just directly send it to the dumping site at home. And that is what we have done now. We have stopped all the other dumping to be going on there. And you see, the whole thing too is that most of the people who are doing these things are not necessarily from Ashaiman alone. Most of them are coming from Ashaiman. Even as far as Mugwa, people are coming from there, Tema, and then it's environs. They are all coming to dump this thing there. So it's becoming a bit difficult, but what we're doing now is we place some security guards there so that anybody who will come there, they will return the person, and then.
Well, I thought you just said you were going to provide vehicles for them to dump the rubbish.
Not that we were going to provide. We have provided a vehicle already.
Okay.
There's vehicle there so that anybody who brings it without our knowledge, or anybody who may not hear the information that we are stopping the dumping there, will just dump it into the car, and the car will directly take it to home. The vehicle is there as I speak with you.
Well, I'm just curious about this vehicle. How much rubbish can it take? Because looking at that site, it's quite a large place. I'm just wondering.
That is really true, because the vehicle may not be able to carry the maximum tons that we may be thinking that a rubbish may be brought there a day. But at least it will curtail the situation, because we have even stopped others from going that.
Okay.
So those who did not hear the information, maybe come there thinking that the place is still open. And when they come, we cannot send them away, because when you send them, you don't know where they are going to dump that one too.
Okay.
That is why the vehicle is provided, so that they can do it and then give them information that tomorrow don't bring it here because we are closing down the place.
All right. So when was this directive given, sir? The directive to close down the place?
Given for about 2 weeks now. We have given the directive. Last week when I went there, I saw that the fire service were pointing the fire over. I said, what is happening again? Because we have given directives that nobody should do this. When that thing happens, that is when they set in the fire. The people who are managing the place, they said they try to burn the rubbish so that they can get enough space. Then we have to call fire service to come and quench the fire. And in the process of doing that, the smoke and other things get to the community, and disturb the residents around the community, and even the school children.
Now, you say that the directive was given 2 weeks ago, and the fire service had to put out some fire. But just 2 days ago, our reporter was on the ground, and there was still smoke coming from the burnt refuse. So I'm just wondering, because you speak of security presence at the place, to stop people from dumping refuse there. It's a bit confusing, because then the problem seems to persist after your directive and all the measures you've put in place. So
exactly. So that is what I'm trying to. You just made some allusion whether the car will be able to carry enough distance. I can't tell at this particular moment whether that is the reason why this thing is happening, or somebody is doing something behind us to get people dump their distance there, because we cannot be there 24/7. I've called the police commander last week, was it 4 days ago, so that he can intensify his security men to be on the ground, so that this particular event will stop. So he promised he will do that, because after our directives, every day we go for meetings based on this, because of this thing. National security, the police commander, the assembly, myself, we always meet on this particular issue, and we have given those directives. So I asked the police commander to intensify his security men on the ground, so that at least those who are doing something behind us, or maybe in the night, deep in the night, or whatever it is, we can bring these people to book.
All right, Mr. Nogbe, before I let you go, it's almost 10:30. Have you visited the place this morning, or have you had any information on the progress of your directive and whether people are actually abiding by it now?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, this morning I've not been there. We had a lot of work in time, so I just drove yesterday. So I'm now going to check on the coordinating director, the municipal coordinating director, to see how far things are going on there at this particular time.
Well, thank you for your time, Ernest Nogbe. We wish you all the best in your fight to deal with this particular problem. Very troubling situation there at Ashaiman. So let me come back to you. It's been quite an extensive conversation with him. He says the directive was given 2 weeks ago. They have security presence there. He's called for the police commander. We don't have money now to deal with this problem. I mean, how does this come to you in terms of looking at how we even deal with these things? Because this is a public health issue. And I'm thinking, yes, maybe you don't have money allocated for this, but our response, you know, even as a government, what would you like to say about that?
As I said, it's a multi-sectoral issue, and we need to look at it that way. For us in health, I think that we are going to focus on making sure that people understand the implications of being exposed to such chemicals, pollution, and then for them to put in the necessary measures to make sure that they don't, you know, fall victim to these.
How about putting pressure on the government and other stakeholders? Because if I'm a resident of Ashaiman and you teach me all the, you know, what I need to know about the health hazards of exposing myself to such chemicals, there's really very little I can do about it. It will be very difficult for you to ask parents to move their children out of that school, even though for some that will be the thing to them. They're actually threatening that. I mean, putting pressure on government, you know, as public health experts and specialists, probably that's the way to go, isn't it?
Well, I mean, again, as I said, it's several systems. I work in the public sector as well, so we also have a role to play. What I'm saying is that this is not yet necessarily a health issue because people have not fallen.
Someone fainted.
Yes, that's. I'm not talking about individuals. I'm talking about, you know, like an outbreak of something.
No, but should we wait till it gets to that point?
So we have to deal with preventing that from happening. That's what I'm saying. That from the health standpoint, we come in to deal with people who are not well. From the environmental health, for example, or looking at the local government, these refuse dumps have to be cleared. The issues such as burning, these wastes must be stopped, and we need to handle the waste properly. He mentioned that they have tried to put in measures to stop people from dumping. I think it's obvious that that is not happening. People are still dumping refuse there. There's still smoke, maybe not this morning. But the point is that people have been exposed to these things, and we need to make sure that it is dealt with, and it has to be dealt with at the local government level. So they have to go in and make sure that these refuse are cleared from the sites. The burning must stop, and then we would put in measures to monitor the health of the students there and make sure that if there are any health issues coming out of these, they can be dealt with.
Thank you very much for your time. Dr. Dennis Lai is a public health specialist, and he's been with me in studio having this very, very important conversation on how residents and pupils of Ashaiman Presby School and residents of Ashaiman are battling the effects of this very hazardous smoke emanating from rubbish that is being burnt. And like I mentioned, we don't separate waste in this country, so you can only imagine the kinds of waste that are being burnt there. I was also joined on the phone by MP for Ashaiman, Ernest Nogbe, who was telling us what he is doing in his capacity as MP to deal with the problem. He tells me that a directive was given 2 weeks ago for people to stop dumping rubbish at the site, and so he was actually surprised to see that the people were still burning rubbish there. He says at one point the fire service was called in to quench the flames that were at the site. So we'll be following this story keenly. Obviously, we want results. We want the children safe and residents of Ashaiman safe. So stay with us on this particular story and we'll bring you more updates on this. Now, away from Ashaiman, students and teachers at Amponsem Senior High School at Idretia in the Ashanti region are decrying poor infrastructure and work conditions. They've had to contend with a windowless 6-unit classroom block commissioned 5 years ago without toilet facilities. Teachers have never received salary since the school's establishment in 2012. Kwesi Deborah has more in this report.
Sadia Issa teaches business management at Amponsem Senior High School in the Fija Kwabre district. Like her colleagues, she has worked for 5 years without compensation.
We come from Kumasi, and sometimes getting transportation to come here becomes a problem.
Amponsem Senior High School serves 2 other communities, Ankase and Impobi. The school has a current population of 57. It presently runs only general arts and business courses due to lack of infrastructure as development has stalled over the period. Lessons are suspended each time it rains because the classrooms have no windows.
We don't have toilet, we don't have urinary place, and the school too is incomplete. Like the windows is not made finished, and if we are here learning and there is rain, whether it's time for closing or not yet, they always close us and we run home because we don't have any place to sit.
Because we don't have the toilet, we decide to go to the bush, and due to that, snake will be chasing us.
Consequently, students are leaving. An initial enrollment of 89 has dropped to 57. Over 20 teachers have also deserted the school, leaving only 12 at post. Albert Ampofo is headmaster.
At that time, we were located at an old site. That old site was a place given to us to start everything afresh, so that when the structure is completed, we could move in. So at that side, many people and many of the students had the hope that when they come to the school, at least at the end of the day, they will move into a new structure in which they will be comfortable. But they saw that the thing was not coming. The structure was not adequate. So almost all of them left the school when they moved to Form 3. So even now, we have only 57 students, as I said earlier on, with the Form 3 being only 14. The Form 2s being 25, and then the Form 1s being 18.
These teachers, majority of whom live outside the district, are paid from the school's internally generated funds.
Yes, the school is being managed with the internally generated funds, the fees we collect here. And one problem we have here is that the population is not encouraging. And we have teachers population of 12. We have to, under normal circumstances, they are all graduates. They have to be paid. But due to inadequate funds that we're facing here, the teachers are not paid. They are being given an allowance as a transportation to move in from Kumasi to their various, to this school to come and teach their various subjects.
Jacob Abura Construction Works oversees the 400,000 Ghana Cedi Education Trust or GET Fund project. School authorities are happy about the company's approach to work on the project. The contractor, however, says the project is one of the many GET Fund-banded projects. Students and teachers have a common plea for government: move swiftly to salvage the situation. Reporting for Joy News, Kwesi Deborah.
Let's stay a while on the education sector. Patrons of the Ashanti Library have been enduring intense heat for the past 3 months since the Electricity Company of Ghana cut power supply to the facility due to non-payment of electricity bills. The library owes ECG 24,000 Ghana cedis in debt Children struggle to read as a result of low visibility, and authorities say the over 500 patrons who visit the library daily have been enduring the situation since January. Ashaiman Mensa filed this report.
The Ashanti Library, established in 1950, has seen little renovation. Authorities said out of the 4 public libraries in Kumasi, Ashanti Library is the oldest and has wide patronage. The electricity company cut power to the library in January over a 24,000 Ghana cedi debt. The situation has affected patronage of the facility. Some students who were seen fanning themselves due to excessive heat spoke to Love News.
The situation here is very unbearable. The fans here are not working, and because they say there's no electricity here. So gradually when the students come here to learn, they leave because they don't feel comfortable, and there's so much heat here. And even last week when we came, some of us had to go out with the books to sit at that place to learn, because there's so much heat here, and that place, there are trees over there where we can get enough air, and because of those heat, we use some of the books to fan ourselves. This even this weakens the cover of the book, which also spoils some of the book. Okay. So this is the situation that we are going through. So we would like the government to provide us with funds.
The lights are always off, and it gets dark here, and it's dark here. So we normally strain our eyes to read, and because of this, we get eye problems. So we want the government to come and help us with this situation, to pay the light bills so that we will be comfortable here.
But management of the facility says government subvention has not been forthcoming. Elizabeth Arthur is regional librarian.
We had a serious setback. That is disconnection from the national grid, that the electricity power was disconnected because of non-payments. I have said it and I'm saying it again. For the past 3 years that I've been around, not even a person had been given to us to run the office, the whole Ashanti region. So that is first and foremost our serious setback, power shortage or power cuts. Then the second funding, as I have already stressed, no money to run the place. We've been going up begging here and there. So that also put us in a very awkward situation.
Ashaiman Mensa reporting for Joy News.
You're watching Joy News Desk with me, Bernice Abube. It is now time for business, and Emmanuel Abuaje, we have some good news for private businesses. Please stay on.